we had a gig in Arco Arena in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Flying to San Francisco, and Ronnie gets off the plane.
What if I told you the end of an era might have already happened, right before our eyes? When Ronnie Dunn, the soul of Brooks and Dunn, walked off stage mid-song, fans were left stunned, heartbroken, and desperate for answers. No farewell, no warning, just a tap to the chest and silence. Now, at 71, Ronnie is finally breaking that silence. And what he reveals about the future of Brooks and Dunn will leave you speechless. Stay with us. Because this isn't just a story about country music. It's about legacy, loss, and one final truth. April 3rd, 2025. Inside the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, 20,000 fans packed the arena. The lights dimmed. Guitars rang out. Brooks and Dunn took the stage like they'd never left the 90s. From the first note, the energy was electric. That unmistakable blend of honky-tonk rhythm and southern soul filled the air. But something wasn't right. Ronnie Dunn wasn't himself. His movements were slower. During Rock My World, Little Country Girl, he sat down on the stage, a rare sight for a man who had once commanded every inch of it. His voice, once powerful enough to fill stadiums, cracked at the high notes. The magic was there, but the man delivering it was clearly in pain. Then came the encore. As Boot Scootin' Boogie kicked off, the crowd roared. Ronnie stepped to the mic and told the audience, "Sing it if you know it." And then something strange happened. He backed away, tapped his chest, glanced toward Kix Brooks. Then, without a word, he slowly walked off stage. No dramatic exit, no explanations, just silence. Fans were stunned. Some recorded the moment and posted it to TikTok, where hashtags like Ronnie Strong and Pray for Ronnie quickly took off. It wasn't anger they felt, it was heartbreak. Because Ronnie Dunn wasn't just a country singer, his voice had been the soundtrack to their lives. He sang through their heartbreaks, their weddings, their memories. His music wasn't just music, it was personal. But behind that quiet exit was a story far more painful than fans could have imagined. Ronnie had been battling a series of serious health issues for months. It started in December 2024 with a skiing accident. He tore his ACL and needed a full knee replacement. Rehabilitation was brutal. 8 weeks of therapy just to walk again. Yet Ronnie insisted on staying on tour. Most fans didn't even realize he was limping through performances. Then, in March 2025, he was hit with a double blow: COVID and strep throat. He lost his voice for weeks. Even after treatment, he struggled with breathing and vocal fatigue. His breath control, one of his strongest assets, was gone. The power behind those legendary notes had diminished. Backstage, the band adjusted. Sound engineers softened the mix. Background vocals were increased. Set lists were shortened. Still, none of it could hide the truth. Ronnie was hurting. The moment in Indianapolis wasn't staged. It was real. It was raw. It was a man whose body had finally said, "That's enough." But the next night, something remarkable happened. Ronnie performed in Peoria, Illinois. The show went on. A public statement followed. He had been sick. He was recovering. And no, he wasn't retiring. Not yet. To understand why this hit so hard, you have to understand the journey that led Ronnie Dunn and Kix Brooks to that stage. Long before they were icons, they were just two struggling solo artists. Kix was a songwriter from Louisiana, penning hits for others. Ronnie was a preacher in training from Texas, who got kicked out of seminary for playing in honky-tonks. Two men from different worlds, thrown together by a record executive's wild idea. They didn't even like the concept at first. Both were fiercely independent. But during their very first songwriting session, lightning struck. They created two #1 songs. Their debut album, Brand New Man, exploded. It sold over 6 million copies and turned the country world upside down. Over the next 2 decades, Brooks and Dunn dominated the charts. They released 11 studio albums, scored 20 #1 singles, and sold over 30 million records. They collected Grammys, CMAs, ACMs, even a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But behind the fame was friction. Creative tension started building in the late 90s. They began recording in separate studios. Disagreements over direction quietly escalated. And in 2009, they shocked fans by announcing their split. Their farewell tour, The Last Rodeo, was bittersweet. One last ride before the curtain closed. But life has a funny way of bringing things full circle. In 2015, they reunited for a Las Vegas residency with Reba McEntire. It was supposed to be short-lived. Instead, it reignited their spark. They were back, older, wiser, and somehow better. Then came the reboot albums. Collaborations with modern country stars like Luke Combs, Kane Brown, and Jelly Roll gave their classics new life. These weren't just nostalgia projects. They were bridges between generations. Songs like Believe, Ain't Nothing 'Bout You, and Neon Moon were reimagined with fresh energy, proving their music was as timeless as ever. In 2024, they released Reboot 2. Morgan Wallen's version of Neon Moon was nearly untouched, because some songs don't need to be reworked. They just need to be respected. The album was a hit with old fans and new, reminding the world that great music never gets old. Then came the surprise of the year. Brooks and Dunn won the CMA's Vocal Duo of the Year. Decades after their debut, they were still being recognized, not just for what they had done, but for what they were still doing. So, when Ronnie walked off that stage in April 2025, it felt like something sacred had broken. Fans weren't watching a performance falter. They were watching a man they loved reach his limit. But what followed was nothing short of incredible. Fans rallied behind him. Social media turned into a support group. Messages of love and healing poured in. Videos of that heartbreaking moment were met not with judgment, but with compassion. Because people saw themselves in Ronnie, a man who had given everything, who was hurting, who needed grace. And Brooks and Dunn kept going. Despite the whispers, despite the fears, the Neon Moon Tour was still on. Ronnie Dunn, battling through illness and injury, didn't quit. He made changes, took more breaks, leaned on extra vocal support, but he showed up. Not because of contracts or expectations, but because deep down, he still needed to sing. Even through pain and uncertainty, Ronnie knew the music still mattered. His voice still had something to say. Offstage, both men have continued to lead with heart. Ronnie's Lensman project, inspired by his daughter's battle with a rare tumor, has raised crucial funds for cancer research. Kix Brooks, ever the passionate humanitarian, has supported countless children's hospitals and education programs. His Keep the Music Playing initiative has poured millions into school music programs. He even shares his love of food through his cooking show, bringing fans joy in more ways than one. Brooks and Dunn have never just been performers. They've been healers, storytellers, and givers. So, is this the end? Not even close. They've renewed their recording contract. They're still writing, still showing up, still dreaming. Ronnie's quiet exit that night wasn't a goodbye. It was a pause, a rare, raw reminder that even legends feel pain. Even icons need grace. But they're not done, not by a long shot, and neither is the music. And if anything, that vulnerability made him more legendary. Because in that moment of silence, he spoke louder than any encore ever could. This isn't a goodbye. This is resilience. The story of Brooks and Dunn isn't over, not by a long shot. And the music? It's still riding strong. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful country music moments. Drop a comment with your favorite Brooks and Dunn song, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an update.